Bickley and Marotta Mornings. Arizona Sports, the local sports leader. Bickley Blast.
After all the big talk and all the big dollars spent, the Suns were good for 0 playoff victories. They didn't make history. They ended up in a dustpan, and you know what that means. That means for the first time in his stewardship of the Suns, Mat Ishbia is getting skewered. For starters, he's been accused of new owner syndrome, the condition that has affected Steve Cohen, David Tepper, and Steve Ballmer, just to name a few. It's where a new owner with a lot of money comes in and makes too many decisions. And it is true, many new owners learn this lesson the hard way. But one Sun source even told Hoops Hype that it's like Looney Tunes in Phoenix, and that Ishbia's decisions have resulted in a sketchy roster that has no depth, no size, and no point guard. Bottom line, this is a reminder of how cruel pro sports can be, because at one time we were all captivated by Ishbia's wallet and his aggression and his bravado. I even called his purchase of the Suns possibly the greatest reprieve in sports history. Now Ishbia is stuck with a high-priced sports car that can't get out of the garage, and he must fix this basketball team, an act that might require more magician than mortgage banker, and that begins with a long look in the mirror.
Yes, but because it's one thing to lose a series. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. Okay, if they would have lost the series in 6-7 games and fought hard, okay, cool. But to roll over the way that they did and not win a single game in the series, again, with Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal, and you can't get one game, just one game, not win the series, one game. You don't have enough pride within yourself to go out there and say, you know what, hey, guys, let's get it together. Let's go out here and handle business. We need to get this game and get it and actually get it done. They didn't have it. Yes, it is, in my eyes, the biggest disappointment in NBA history.
Kendrick Perkins from ESPN on with Wolf and Luke yesterday explaining his statement that he made on ESPN about it being the biggest disappointment in NBA history. Let's start there because we talked to Charles Barkley, who was on fire today. And Charles Barkley said to this day he takes pride in the fact that he never got swept during his playing career in a best-of-7 series. The Suns got swept. And I'm torn on this because in the midst of the series, I told you how I felt yesterday. It was relief. I just wanted it to end. Why prolong it? The Suns did not show the ability to compete on a consistent basis with the Minnesota Timberwolves. Frank Vogel said after Game 3, they're just too much for us to handle. So from that aspect, I was like, I don't care if they get a game. But as you stated, and to say it as succinctly as you did to begin the blast, this experiment did not even net one playoff win. That does make you angry.
It does. It does. And again, there's a lot of criticism now about how we got here. And I know we've got cuts from Rich Paul, from Clutch Sports, LeBron's agent, who said, look, nobody builds a big three anymore. It's dumb. And go ahead, play.
This is from Sirius XM Radio, Rich Paul.
When you look at the Suns, they just don't have the depth or the balance. Listen, I'm a firm believer that a big three is a catastrophe. You need a big two in depth. And I've never been a firm believer of big, and there's been a misconception of a big three. People talk about the Heat. They never had a big three. They had three big names, but they didn't have a big three, right? So we, as an industry, has pushed that narrative, but it's not really that. When you look at the Warriors, when they got KD, they had a big two in Steph and KD, and then they had a tremendous amount of depth. Draymond, Clay, so on and so forth. Lakers in 2020, same thing. So to me, a big three is troublesome, and Philly's going to have to make a decision this summer, and if they go that route, it can be troublesome for them as well.
Interesting stuff,
it is.
And it's very possible that there's two factors that will end this concept of the super team in the NBA. One is the luxury tax threshold penalties, which make it very difficult to build a roster, as the Suns are finding out. And two is the 2023-2024 Phoenix Suns.
Exactly.
And Kevin Durant's last stint in Brooklyn.
Yep.
We'll
exactly.
mix into that, too.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. So, and I think all of these things are real valid. You begin to wonder, okay, would this team have been better off? Because you have to say this, that Bradley Beal, the biggest drain he presents is the contract and the no-trade clause. So if you suddenly realize, okay, this guy is not a winning player, what are you going to do with him? Nothing. He's going to be a member of the Phoenix Suns. The question then becomes, could you have used what you traded for Bradley Beal to actually acquire the depth that we're talking about? I'm not sure you could have.
I don't think there's any way they could have.
Second-round picks don't mean squat in the NBA anymore.
There was one trade that could have been made to get something of use for Chris Paul, and the Suns made it.
Yes.
And they knew that at the time.
Yes. And
the Washington Wizards knew that at the time.
Right. And so we were all behind it because I think we knew. See, a lot of people now, they are taking shots at the Suns, and gleefully so. We said this at the beginning of the show today. Fingers are pointing at us, and people are laughing at how our basketball team cratered because of all the talk, because of the money, because of Mat Ishbia. I'm here to win next year and the year after and the year after and the year after. And we all love it here, but you have to understand what it sounds like out there.
Saying it respectfully, I don't know how teams are going to guard us.
Yeah, that stuff. And so that's what we're getting laughed at.
Well, when you make a statement like that, it circulates around the league. Nothing is said behind closed doors anymore. No. Everything gets publicized, and Devin Booker said that, and we loved it. And we're like, yeah, how? At the time, everybody was saying the same thing. You're going to double Devin Booker and leave Bradley Beal or Kevin Durant? You're going to double Kevin Durant, leave Devin Booker alone?
Yeah.
It turned out it was not that hard to guard them. For a number of different reasons.
That's right. And so I guess, what you have to decide now is, is this mix of players here, is it still good? Can you make something of this? Does KD want out? You heard Charles Barkley say that that's what he's hearing, that there are rumblings that he wants out of here.
Stephen A. Smith said he wants to go to New York, too.
Well, KD is on record as saying, I wish I would have gone to New York instead of Brooklyn in that TV show. Yes. But whatever. So I think what you're saying here is what I agree with most, that you got to find a way to make this work. As long as everybody still is cool and wants to be here, you've got to find a way to make these wonderful talents they possess work.
Yes. And
because you're not going to get the depth.
Back to no, it's impossible as constructed to get that depth. And you asked the question about the Chris Paul trade. If the big three is back, there has to be a concerted effort, a decision made by one of them who is going to be the on-floor leader. The follow-me guy that Charles Barkley was just talking about.
Yep.
It's not going to be Kevin Durant.
Nope.
He's not going to take on that role at age 36. You're going to get from Kevin Durant what you're going to get. Mm-hmm. I don't know if Bradley Beal is an impactful enough player to be that guy. Yep. The spotlight is shining on Devin Booker. This is his franchise. This is his team. He's got to be the guy to do that.
Right on the money.
And look, I'm not going to sit here and say that I now disagree with all these moves. I was excited about the moves the Suns made. Yeah. Absolutely. And it was very exciting as somebody who's rooted for this franchise for 45 years. Mm-hmm. To have an owner that is that desirous of becoming a championship team.
Wholeheartedly.
The problem is there is a massive difference between wanting to win and knowing how to win. And I will never question Mat Ishbia's desire to win. Now, the first swing was a miss. Now you got to figure out how to win.
There's a difference between trying to win and winning.
Yes.
Unlike, the last guy, he's truly trying to win, but they're not winning yet.
Wait.
You lost me, Jared.
Unlike Robert Sarver.
Okay.
Mat Ishbia is doing everything to try to win. He's throwing
gotcha.
money and trying to get all the stars, and he's doing it.
And we put a lot of faith in him because he's not your average businessman who came to pro sports. Yeah. He was on a NCAA championship team under one of the greatest coaches in college basketball history.
True. Jared, thanks for wiping your muddy shoes all over my segment punctuation there.
Yeah. Vinny was just brilliant.
Now, let's talk
use
about
use the floor mat, Jarrett. Take off your shoes before coming in the house.
Birkenstocks were caked with mud. Now it's all over me.
Thanks for watching Bickley and Marotta. Click to see the latest Bickley Blast and hit the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.